Hey everybody, welcome to What Drives Us, episode 385, recorded on the last day of September 30th, 2020. And if you are watching the show and looking at the panel real quick, you may notice something that is, what more can 2020 throw at us? Well, it's an episode of What Drives Us without Russell Frost.
Russell free.
Enjoy it while you can.
Scraping off the barnacles.
It's about time.
He's okay, right? He doesn't have the Rona?
No, he doesn't have the Rona. Russell was tied up today, and rather than postponing the show, he said, in true Russell fashion, he said, "Fuck it, motherfuckers, record the show." And,
explicit tag.
Yes.
In the first minute.
Getting off to a start. So, yeah, Russell is the only person to have been visible on the first 384 shows. But besides him, Michael Manring now holds the honor of being on every single show. So, without him, I am your host this week into this journey of advanced technology, mobility, and sustainable energy. And we have a great show for you tonight. But first, let's talk about some of these people who are sitting around here. He is our man in Boulder, Colorado, the owner of Boulder Hybrids. He tears them down, repairs them, and sometimes puts them back together in the same order. He is Paul Guzik.
Hey, glad to be back.
When I think of a Boulder hybrid, it's like a Flintstone mobile, but like a little more advanced. That should be your logo.
Yeah,
it's Boulder. It's more than bold. It's bold, right?
Once in a while, a car comes in the shop that's so rusty it could be a Flintstone mobile.
The feet hang out the bottom.
Yeah. When the floor rusts out, you can add extra mileage.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. Well, I'm going to kick it up north to our man in Canada, where maybe some of us will be moving to shortly. He is our resident Volt and Tesla driver, Mr. Mark Hoglin.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. We've got quite a different amount of stories for you tonight, so looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'm always torn between I can't think of it. So I'm going to kick over to Patrick Connor, who is our social media main dude on the northwest corner of the U.S. Hey, Patrick, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good. Hey, everybody out there. We are talking about alternative transportation and things they sure are changing out there today. We've got stories from around the world and even off the planet tonight.
We're going extraterrestrial.
It's hyping it.
And our man in the southeast, he is Mr. Casey Green.
Happy International Podcast Day.
Is that a thing?
It is a thing.
It is now. We just made it.
No,
All right.
It is.
Good thing it's not Talk Like a Pirate Day as well.
It's just like it happened to be perfect. It's podcast day. We're on a podcast. Thanks to you guys, the viewers.
International Podcast Day.
Yeah, Talk Like a Pirate Day was 11 days ago, so we missed it. Yeah.
Blimey, we missed it.
After every
All of those just fly on by when you don't have to go into the office.
That's right.
We could just make it Talk Like a Canadian Day, eh?
Hey, no way.
How do we know that that's not already a holiday?
I don't know. That's pretty much that's a pastime in Canada. And of course, that voice you just heard is our lovely Georgia McKenzie in California.
Hey, everybody.
Full California representation today.
Yeah.
That's low-key representation. We are 2 gummies in. Let's get the show rolling.
Yeah. All right. You know what? I'm already about 2/3 of the way through my beer, so we better get going. Of course, you can't drink all day if you don't start early, so I kind of started early. I am going to kick it over to Patrick, who is on official death watch, if I understand correctly. What's up, Patrick?
What?
Yeah, I did like the way you titled that, the Nikola Death Watch. That was fun. So we talked about the whole saga, and this is the story that just keeps on giving. There are now stories coming out with a few things. I'm not sure what order to put them in, but Trevor Milton, two people have accused him of sexual assault. And these accusations happened 15 plus years ago, but it's never good news being accused of something like that. And I have no idea if he's guilty or not, but if he is, I hope he pays for it dearly. And either way, that's just some new news about that guy that's out there. That since we've been talking about the whole Trevor Milton story and Nikola and their deal with GM. There's a new wrinkle in this deal with GM. So we talked quite a bit about how GM's got 11% stake in the company, and they're going to be the one that designs, engineers, homologates the Nikola Badger truck. Well, maybe that's going to happen. Maybe it's not. New details have come out that GM actually has until, I think it was December 3rd, to finalize the details of this deal. And until then, they could walk away. And with all the recent shenanigans that are happening there, that might be the best thing for GM. We will see how that plays out. So there's still yet another shoe to drop in this story, I'm sure. But we will keep you up to date on it.
It seems weird that the sexual allegations didn't come out until all this other stuff happened. If it happened 15 years ago. Yeah. I wonder if GM is purposely digging up dirt so they can get out of the deal.
Ooh, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
Well,
or they squeeze them for a better deal.
Yeah. They have been accused of not doing due diligence, so they might have gone back, and now they are seriously looking a lot harder at Trevor Milton's past. Maybe.
Now that
I don't
would
know if
be that would certainly be some dirty shenanigans in my mind. If you want to get out of a deal, you dredge up something, a 15-year-old allegation, which it did not seem to indicate. And I haven't been able to find anywhere where the allegations, where any charges were pressed 15 years ago. That's the part that really throws me off. And I agree with you, Patrick. I'm not trying to defend anything, or I'm not trying to belittle the situation. I just, now here we are 15 years after the alleged, sexual harassment occurred. And I have to say alleged, not because I'm trying to defend him, but because everyone truly is innocent until proven guilty. So I have to say alleged, not trying to defend him, just saying 15 years later, now that this deal is falling apart, we have two allegations that I could not find any indication that the allegations came up 14 years ago.
Are they coming from the victims or coming from somebody else?
Coming from the victims or anyone else, anywhere. I couldn't.
Oh, I mean the current ones. The current ones.
Yeah. Oh, wait. What do you mean?
I'm not sure who broke the story, or if these women have come forward, or if someone else.
I said I saw him do this.
Existing records. It was.
Did they even say if it was women?
Well, it doesn't have to be women. I mean, is it the victim, or is it somebody who saw it happen?
No,
yeah, they were both Patrick. 15. One happened when Trevor Milton was, or one was allegedly happened when he was 17 and she was 15, and then the other one happened when Milton was 22 and she was 15.
Yeah, and it was two women. Yeah. So and yes, I agree. If he did these things, then yes, he needs to be punished. There should be no geez, how come I'm so short on words? No expiration.
Because you've been drinking all day.
Statute of limitations.
Yes, there's no statute of limitations on charges such as these. And if he's found guilty, then yes, then he needs to be punished. But I do, as with many things, the timing is questionable. And if we do find out that it is dirty pool, trying to, like, if it's GM or someone from GM or this other guy.
I don't know that GM needed this kind of stuff to get out of the deal. I think that this.
They could use it for better.
It's just these were in the same story only because of how they came out in the news cycle at the same time.
Yeah.
I don't think that they were related, but I don't know.
There was.
I think because when people once bad stuff comes out, all the bad stuff comes out. I mean, and especially when you have media looking for the dirt, because a little bit of dirt just makes them dig a little bit harder for something else. So I don't really think it was GM playing any dirty pool to back out, because they don't need this to back out. All the honestly, the near outright fraud of the Nikola running truck, if you go aim it downhill, that's quite enough. This is an unnecessary thing to get out of that deal. I think this is just a tendency of the media to go find what else is out there.
Yeah. Hey, if there's any investors out there, I've got a new company called Pinewood Derby Motors, and with our downhill technology. I'm just looking for 2 or 3 billion for an investment, and we'll be golden.
So what kind of... no batteries and no gasoline.
That's right. Yeah. It's even better than hydrogen. It's gravity powered.
Right. So what kind of what kind of 0 to 60 do you have? Like 9.8 meters per second squared?
Exactly. per second. Yes.
Yeah.
So if you got any of this in your past, just come clean, apologize, take your lashes. Why let it come out later?
Yeah.
We've seen this time and again for the last 5-10 years. Just get it over with. Pull the Band-Aid off.
Well, and like from last week when he stepped away, I mean, could this have been another thing? I mean, could he have had any indication that something like this was coming?
You got a phone call. Started shaking.
Because like we said last week, if it was simply the misrepresentation of the functionality of the truck, then that's not really step away from the business kind of thing.
Especially when the business admits to it and says they didn't do it.
And stuff,
Yeah.
That does add up better.
We didn't do that thing we just said we did.
But yeah.
Well, let's see if we can like move on to something just a little more interesting here.
Hopefully the next story is better than sexual assault. Yeah.
Right. A little more positive. Yeah, so I'm going to take this story, and it is a more uplifting story, I think. I'd like to think. And so what I want to talk about is Mercedes-Benz having a truck called the e-Citaro that they've sold to multiple cities and municipalities and things from all around Europe. And what made the news this week is that they have received 60 orders for the new e-Citaro G articulated bus. And it is going to be the first bus in its category to feature Mercedes solid state batteries. And unfortunately, there have been no details provided. I couldn't find anything online as to the full like makeup or anything about Mercedes solid state batteries. They're holding that pretty close to their chest. But what they did say is the typical bus, the e-Citaro bus with lithium-ion batteries have a capacity from 292 kilowatt hours to 396 kilowatt hours. And the solid state batteries are expected to take 7 packs and boost the capacity up to 441 kilowatt hours. If Mercedes can pull this off with solid state batteries in a bus and prove their charge discharge and their range and the stability and everything, this could be a huge step into ushering in solid state batteries into a lot of other areas, passenger cars and things like that. So I don't have much. I don't have a lot of details, just that this is something to keep an eye on.
My understanding is you also get a better warranty with that battery.
Well, I can share the screen, actually. They've got some really nice shots of the bus itself.
Yeah.
441 kilowatt hours. That's a heck of a big battery.
It is.
I mean,
yeah. My understanding is you get a better warranty as well with the solid state. It does cost a little more, but you know, we've talked about fleet managers many times before, and
it will not stay this clean.
No, it will not.
No.
Please don't carpet the floors.
Yeah.
Yes, and so the fleet managers, if even though it costs a little more upfront, if it's going to save them in the long run, they'll definitely move their way towards the solid state.
And they did say that they are going to offer of all things, a fuel cell range extender in case that's necessary. But hey, if they're going to go range extender, I'd rather they go fuel cell than diesel. That's for sure. But yeah, not a lot of details on that. But
yeah, the ironic part was they said with the fuel cell range extender, you won't have to install recharging infrastructure. But they don't bother to mention that you will have to install hydrogen fueling infrastructure. That will cost 10 times more. Details.
Well, but you don't have to install the infrastructure for hydrogen because it's literally everywhere. You just
There'll be a funnel on top of the bus.
Right. That's exactly how it works.
Compress it and shove it in.
That's right.
The range extender is just a big funnel that just scoops it up like a manta ray as it goes down the street. Yeah, I'm sure that's exactly how that's going to work.
So I'm glad they're shipping the lithium-ion version now, and they have this promise of this solid state very soon. And if they do that, wonderful. I don't know who's making those batteries. Are they making themselves? Are they getting them from some other battery supplier? Tony, you mentioned these potentially going into passenger cars, but maybe their volume or yield isn't high enough to make that practical yet. But that's when technology comes out, and if you have low yield or high production cost, you can put it into something very expensive like a bus that has a huge price tag on it, and that's what you use to work out the kinks to get it to higher volume, to get it to lower price points, and then put it down market from there. So good luck. We need solid state batteries. They have longer life. They have higher energy density, much more tolerant to stresses. So I can't wait. That would be awesome.
Yeah, like Patrick said, if it takes them a week to make one bus, it's a lot easier to forgive than taking a week to make one passenger car.
Yeah.
Yeah. Production line of vehicles that makes one a week is not going to be very successful.
Right. And yeah, I mean,
unless it's like airplanes or something.
Airplanes or buses.
Right.
Yeah.
Trains.
Yeah. And I could see if something goes wrong with a bus, and maybe they have buses, in the wings, they can always just swap out another bus, and they could run a diesel bus on the route while they work out the kinks on the electric. I mean, it does seem like a much safer, if you will, test bed where things can go wrong, and you just have one bus on a route, and you can just swap out another bus.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, let's hope, like Patrick said, I mean, we wish them the best because we do need solid state batteries. We think it's going to be the next big step, and man, that would be awesome to see just a huge jump in range for regular vehicles, and then other applications for solid state batteries.
Cycle life, yeah.
Yeah, another one to keep our eyes on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's definitely worthy because we need to have as many options as we can to make public transportation not just sustainable for the people who desperately need it, but so municipalities are willing to make the investment in better buses that are overall energy sustainable for the environment. So fingers crossed.
And if it's electric, you can put it in a tunnel.
Right.
Right. And
it runs on
speaking of
hydrogen, just breathes, right?
yeah, and you know what? Speaking of electric vehicles and tunnels, because that was my boring segue, my otherwise boring hosting. So I know that everyone watches the Tesla Life because you should, because it's awesome, because Mark Coughlin is quite possibly the most trusted man in Canada. But here to give a quick recap of this week in Tesla is, of course, our friend Mark Coughlin. So Mark, what's going on?
Well, I'm glad to know I'm the most trusted man in Canada. I didn't know that title, but that's okay. I'll take that over the segue music at any time. Absolutely.
Oh, you want to say Tesla Life, everybody's living it, Tesla Life.
Okay, I don't want the segue music anymore.
Hire that guy. Yeah.
Well, certainly we're going to touch on 3 topics. There was a ton of topics that we could actually expand upon because Battery Week, of course, was last week, and there was a ton of news and follow-ups for that. But we're just going to touch on 3 things. The Model S, of course, was released, the Plaid version. It's now on the Tesla website. You can pre-order it, delivery in about a year. And the specs were quite impressive. We've got a vehicle that has 1,100 horsepower. It can go 0 to 60 in 1.9 seconds. It can do the quarter mile in under 9 seconds. We found out that this vehicle is not going to be able to run on a number of drag strips because it's not going to have a roll cage. It's not going to have a parachute. The car coming off a factory line is too powerful to run stock on a drag strip. That's quite incredible. The other thing that wasn't really talked about was the Roadster that was at Battery Day as well. And the Roadster is going to be faster and better than the Model S Plaid. So we've got to ask ourselves what kind of out of world stats are we going to have for the Roadster when the Model S Plaid has matched the specs that were given for it 2 years ago. We really don't know. All we know is that
this is going to travel time.
Right, it's going to break through time.
That's the SpaceX package.
Right.
So,
yeah,
so there
it's
is
going to do
this.
the quarter mile in -9 seconds.
It's done before you start. Yeah.
it's gonna
Superman
go
that the
0
world
to
rotates
60,
under it.
zero to 60 and now.
So we really don't know what it is besides Elon indicating that it's going to be better in every way. So what does that mean? We don't know, but the specs are going to be mind-blowing when they do come out. And we don't know when they're coming out. But this story, of course, came up because when the Model S went on the website, its specs were there. And of course, they were promoting them. And people started to notice that these were the same specs that were given to the Roadster 2 years earlier. So we've got to believe that a $200,000 car is going to do much better than the Plaid $135,000 car. But we don't know how much, but we're definitely going to be keeping our eye on that.
For an extra 100,000, it better do something else.
It better do something. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about a rumor that's come out, is that the Model 3 SR Plus, which is the car that, of course, came out after the long-range car, is going to be outfitted with all-wheel drive. So that's new news. And what the rumor indicates is that it's going to be outfitted at the Fremont factory. So there's been some sources that have leaked some information that all-wheel drive is coming to the Model 3 shortly. And we've heard previously that when the Model 3 changes, typically it would come from Shanghai first. But this is another little change where they're indicating that Fremont will be the first to put that extra motor in the Model 3. So for those of you who are still looking for a Model 3, that might be an option for you. That again, it's unconfirmed rumor at this point, but there is some leaks that indicate that it's coming to Fremont soon, or it's actually on the line. They've played with a few variations. So
all-wheel drives are probably popular in Colorado, huh, Paul?
Your mic's off, Paul.
That's okay.
That's okay. He was nodding.
He was nodding. That's
very
all.
popular. Yes.
Let the podcast record that he nodded.
You let the record show.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, if somebody sitting in the car, they would just think it was awkward silence. Right.
And final one that we're going to touch on is, again, during Battery Day, Elon talked about a $25,000 Tesla that would be available in 3 years. That would be the end of 2023, roughly. And what was interesting is a story came out about South Korean automakers. They were watching Battery Day just like all of us were. And they were listening to the specs and information and the battery density increase and the price drop and the $25,000 car. And they've confirmed that being able to compete with a $25,000 Tesla in 3 years is going to be extremely difficult, if not completely impossible, without razor thin profit margins or possibly negative profit margins. They believe they need more time in order to get to those different specifications that Tesla has so happily announced during Battery Day. So this is what we've talked about previously on this show, is that is Tesla so far ahead of the game that competition is having a difficult time even getting close to what they have currently. And in 3 years' time, if Tesla does what they say they're going to do, can the competition even hope to catch up? So that's a sobering thought, because, of course, we know competition helps drive the market and makes things better. It keeps people honest. It keeps companies innovating. If they know they can't catch them, are they going to try?
That's an interesting perspective.
But I mean, maybe Elon's bluffing. Maybe they can't do it either.
You know what, Paul? I would agree with that before the Model 3 was released. But at this point, I think Elon speaks what he's going to do. He's put a number of roadmaps in front of us, and you know what? He's actually delivered on them. He may not have delivered in the perfect amount of time, but he's delivered.
Do you think maybe the $25,000 Tesla is the Cyberquad?
So yeah, that's the stories we want to touch upon this week. As Tony mentioned, if you have interest in more detail, please follow us at The Tesla Life on Twitter, Facebook, The Tesla Life #1, and of course on our YouTube channel, The Tesla Life.
And yes, if you're not watching Mark on The Tesla Life and others, then you're certainly missing out. Oh, music out. Tesla Life, butter knife. Everybody's living the Tesla life. All right. You still want your music there, Mark? Because
no, I think we can drop that.
Somebody can take a clip of this show and add some background music and
see. I think we got it. I think we got it.
Somebody meme Tony up doing the Tesla Life dance there. That would be awesome.
So speaking of plugs, I want to remind everyone that if you have not yet given this show a thumbs up, or if you gave the show a thumbs up and then took it away after I started singing, please, I beg of you, put it back. And if you want to hear more impromptu singing, subscribe to our channel. And that way you'll be able to hear all my entire album later this year.
I was going to say, I thought you could get them to subscribe if you promised not to sing more.
It was 50-50. You know, it's a niche market. So if you do want to read the articles that we're reading, first of all, check us out on Facebook. Patrick does an excellent job of keeping our Facebook feed going. And also find us on Flipboard. Philip Barclay and I flip articles into our Flipboard magazine. Look for the What Drives Us magazine if you do that. And now I want to kick over to Casey because he's got something oh so delicious to tell us about.
Here are bacteria you might find plastic delicious. So there's a new enzyme that came out. It's in the lab still that they've determined will eat plastic bottles at 6 times the rate of the current enzymes that they have to break down plastic. And what's amazing about this is, one, that it works, and two, that they extracted it from a naturally occurring bacteria rather than GMOing up something. So that was pretty cool to me. And it's still in the lab, but it has great promise. It was first discovered at a Japanese waste site in 2016, and they made their first commercial lab version in 2018, and they continue to work on it.
Yeah, stories like that always remind me that when people say save the earth, it's not save the earth, because what we're doing is polluting the environment for us. And so we're going to die off. The planet will be fine. Things like this will happen. It might take 1,000,000 years, but the bacteria will eat all the plastic and the pollutions that we put out there. And eventually the planet will be fine and go on without us. So
Exactly. That's how coal exists. There were no organisms that could break down cellulose, the wood fibers. And so as all these trees died, they fell over, they just sat there for quite some time. And then, geologic action turned them into coal. And then
that does
there's a
raise
reason.
the question: what did dinosaurs burn for electricity?
and so that's why you see in the fossil records, like, the coal stops. It doesn't technically it's renewable, but now that the organisms exist to break down wood and cellulose, we're never going to get any more new coal through natural action.
Yep.
That's a bummer.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Like, it sounds cool because God forbid people just stop dumping their trash and properly recycle. I mean,
Yeah.
God, that could be difficult. But bioengineering something that eats plastic.
Well, that's the beauty of this one. This one over the old ones. This one is natural.
Okay, but even then.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh wow! Because no offense to
there's
people.
always unintended
I like
consequences.
Fine,
we let them get loose.
Yeah, it just feels like, why are you guys always making something that's going to go terribly wrong at some point? Like, it literally, you look 4 steps in the future, you're just like, yeah, I can see how this could go really wrong. Maybe
You're driving down the road, your dashboard falls apart, you don't know how fast you're going, the wheels fall off.
Yeah, I was.
Well,
I was literally thinking the same thing.
We've seen it already. Even companies like Toyota tried to use soy-based insulation on electrical wiring to be green, and they didn't realize certain critters like the taste of those wires or the insulation, and
rats and squirrels.
Yeah, and they chew through the wires, and then your car doesn't drive, and and you got to pay a lot of money to someone like me to fix it. So, you got to look at the big picture in the long term. So
they blame it on the customer too. It's like, wait, what?
Yeah,
I didn't put this in the car. I just parked it.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, it seems good, but I'm also, oh boy, but this is made by people, right? Oh, that's a bad sign. And I'm trying.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fascinating article.
Wasn't it Australia imported a few frogs one year to kill off some pest, and now there's like 11 billion frogs in Australia that have no predators.
And they're totally toxic? Yeah, they're huge.
Yeah,
cane toads. Here's the cane toads. Yes, I remember that story.
Cane toads,
so,
love bugs, kudzu. We have a great record of this.
We got a really great record of this. So I will be seeing you all in the third apocalypse, somewhere
Killer
like
bees.
8 to 10 years down the line, when it escapes and it's eating, I don't know, all of our cars and most of our light plastics.
Everything.
Homes and
We
everything
make
else.
everything in plastic.
That could be a Black Mirror episode where this virus gets out of our bacteria gets out of the lab, and all the plastic in our world just melts. Uh-oh.
Right. Yeah, so I did take that. There was what's going to happen when this escapes the lab, and oh my God, I hope there's a kill switch. But then there's also the other side, which is the fact that science has to work really hard to develop something to fix the fact that we're addicted to plastic and have been since like the 1950s. And so recycling was put in place to trick the environmentalists into thinking that we were doing something good, and to allow the the producers to just produce more plastic and then say, oh, well, don't worry about it. It's recyclable. You'll just be able to recycle it. So see, we're really not so bad. But then we end up with a world full of plastic. And, the whole crying Indian only
Italian
you,
guy.
the Italian guy crying Indian.
Italian.
That was paid for by plastic manufacturers to put littering on the shoulders of the consumers, not the manufacturers who used to use glass bottles and now use plastic bottles. People are throwing them away instead of recycling them. So they had an Italian guy act like an Indian to put the blame on the consumer. So now I'm seeing that we have this enzyme that's going to break down plastics and hopefully is going to remove a lot of plastic pollution. And I'm thinking that's great until I realize there's going to be a plastic producer out there who says this means we can make more, right? Because now you can recycle it better.
It's not my fault that they didn't put it in the digester bin and it's now in the ocean.
I mean, would they really have outlawed cigarettes if someone had just invented a better filter? That's basically what we're doing. If you can eliminate the side effect, or minimize the side effect, then it must be okay.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. Those ad campaigns were trying to put the personal responsibility. It's all your fault for the way you do this. And to really solve a problem, you need both. You need individuals taking actions, and you need policies and governments that also have policies in place to reduce that, to have alternatives that are adequately funded, that aren't just paid off by lobbyists from major industries to allow them to continue to pollute.
I remember in New York as a kid, we had the deposits on the glass bottle. So whenever we'd go to the grocery store with Grandma, we'd collect up all the bottles and shove them in the machine, get the quarters back, and nickels. And I don't recall ever seeing anything like that for aluminum or plastic. Aluminum is inherently more recyclable on its own, but nobody seems to really want to recycle plastic.
They have those in New York, at least since the 90s, I think. So.
Okay. Yeah, bottle bill. Oregon was the first, right here.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it works.
And we do have it on our cans as well.
Yeah, the reverse vending machines.
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
You put the can in the machine and it spits out money.
Yeah.
That's a funny way to think of it.
I mean, I don't know. I think partially the problem, I guess we're all talking here, is that we keep trying to create new ways to be lazy about really simple, basic tasks that only take a little bit of your effort, but we really don't like to give that effort even to things that we say are very important. So, I don't know. I mean, it's a toss-up. We can sort of half-ass our way through our recycling things, which I can safely say, living in an apartment complex. Some of you don't just half-ass, you half-ass with your whole ass. Or we can do enzymes.
There's some people go out of their way to put stuff in the wrong bin.
But, trust me, I have thought many a violent thought on that one. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I mean, it's a new development, and I'm intrigued by the science of them finally taking these plastic-eating enzymes and doing something with it. And I'm also someone who's pretty well versed in watching Jurassic Park movies and seeing it. Yeah, maybe we shouldn't have done that. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen here?
Life finds a way.
Yep, there will be a Jeff Goldblum picture. I guarantee you.
It's always a Jeff Goldblum.
So, and one of the things in here, they talk about these enzymes that break down plastics, and then they also have some that break down cellulose, and then you can do mixed materials they're looking into. So like mixed material clothing and things. So they talk about breaking it down, but they don't explain in the article what they break it down to.
Hopefully not microplastics.
Right.
That
I mean, it's kind
worse.
Yeah.
I mean,
they are hydrocarbons, so I assume that it's into shorter chain hydrocarbons.
I hope there's something. Yeah. I mean, because you can't destroy matter.
Yeah, even if they break them down to oil, though, I mean, by the time that's at scale, we won't be burning oil anymore.
Well, even that, it'd still be better than microplastics that is now in all of our water and most of our food.
Yep,
and
we've done a few beach cleanups for microplastics, where you shovel it into a big sifter, and yeah, it's a lot of work. But you you have a really pretty beach until the next high tide, and then it's all right back.
Right.
I mean, like with our washing machines, they're saying that the microplastics that come from our clothes for just a really inexpensive filter would solve a good portion of it. And it's literally a $2 filter, and so it doesn't happen because it interferes with the profits.
Yeah. Ooh. See, that's just wrong.
I don't know if it's actually $2, but whatever it was like, you look at the price of a washing machine, even though like the base model with no, like you turn the knob and it's all mechanical, it was still way under that. So it's like, come on, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
go ahead.
I'm going to move on to our next story, which I'm going to take because I think it's interesting that Toyota is being outsold in China. Dun, dun, dun. However, we really are comparing apples to grapes, I suppose. Because it turns out that GM is selling a $5,000 electric car in China. And apparently this thing is selling like hotcakes. It's a runaway hit. Now, the car itself is really quite tiny. It actually reminds me of the Tata Nano.
Yes.
If you've ever seen that. I mean, it's tiny. It's kind of cute. It seats 4. It's got 4 doors, and it is.
Are those
really,
like scooter wheels on it?
Yeah.
Yes, they really are. It is as bare bones as you can pretty much possibly get. There's no indication whether or not the windows roll up and down, but they probably do, and it's a hand crank. And the people in China really love these because they're bare bones and they're just looking to get from point A to point B. And you have all these rural areas in China where people just need to drive a few miles and maybe carry some stuff. And now for a relatively inexpensive amount, they'll be able to stop using the 2-stroke scooters or or other vehicles. There is a horse. Yeah. I mean, when you think about it, that is considered a step up, right? You actually increase. You kind of improve your place if you can use your horse for other things, like maybe dedicated to farming, and you don't have to use your horse to get from place to place. But there is a category in China that is the
no crash test car category?
Yes, that's all of it. No, it's the low speed electric vehicles. So this car is not made to go fast or far, but the problem is low speed electric vehicles really have no regulation on them, which means that any fly by night place can put out anything with absolutely no stability strength or crash test anything. At least this is being made by an arm of General Motors and should have some reliability in it. So it's kind of a big thing because we talk about we want to eliminate internal combustion engines. Well, the bulk of internal combustion engines that are being driven in places where we know that they're not being regularly maintained. They're not being, not like here in Chicago. The rest of the world does not live in Chicago or major metropolitan areas. They live in these rural areas. And if we can swap out some of these, like I said, a 2-stroke scooter that just spews contaminants, and get them with a solar panel to charge this thing up, and they can do their 105 miles approximately on EV, then that's great. We're reaching more people.
And all joking aside, if it's not compared to the safety of a real car, but it's compared to the safety of the scooter that is displacing, it's probably safer than the scooter for the family that's in it. So.
Yes. The story is that when Tata came up with the idea to create the 1 lakh car, he came up with that idea because he saw an Indian family literally all stacked on one scooter in the rain, And he saw that and said, this is no way to move your family from one place to another. I'm going to build a car they can afford. And this is kind of the same thing, Paul, you're right. And when you look at China, China has how many billions of people? And I actually did run some numbers. There's 1.4 billion people in China. 106 million of them live in density zones. The top 10 density zones, 106 million people, which is only 7.4% of China in the high density zones. So, I mean, that literally leaves 1.3 billion people outside the density zones, and there's 1.1 billion adults in China. Even if only a quarter of those people drive, that's still a shit ton of cars.
Is that what came out when you put it in the calculator?
Yes.
That's a technical unit, shit ton.
Yeah, there was some
scientifically accurate,
some cell formatting involved, but yeah. But I mean, when you run those numbers and you realize not everyone's running out to buy a brand new, Model 3 or, a Model S, a Plaid or a Roadster. Some people just need 4 wheels and a roof over their head. This is something that can get the technology to those people.
Yeah, for $5,000, there's certainly a huge market of people that could use this, and that's great. Any electric mile is a good mile.
Yeah, and in China for now, but you look at India, Africa, a lot of places where they can charge them with green tech and totally just leapfrog oil and go straight to sustainable. Yeah.
Right here, if people are commuting, if people don't have to travel super long distances, a car like this would be a boon for people who need to travel around, say, Sacramento, and they stay basically within that city's areas, and they don't have to go over, maybe 40 miles tops on a regular basis. This would work out perfectly for them.
The problem with a car like that in America is some joker in an Escalade that's looking at their cell phone is going to plow into you and you're toast.
Right.
Yeah. My in-laws live in a retirement community, and they have a golf cart, and that's what they use most of their time. They still have cars when they can drive around to see us, but if they're just putzing around their neighborhood, going golfing, going to the local store or whatever, it's all right there on low-speed residential streets, and they can use their golf cart. So this, if you want something,
there's whole communities in Florida like that.
Yeah, exactly.
The neighborhood. I mean, we know neighborhood electric vehicles and EVs. Yeah, exactly.
This fits that category very well. And you
mentioned
India.
Stylish.
Yeah, if you want something with doors to show off.
Yeah, it's got doors. I mean, I think it's got a floating C-pillar. I mean, they put a little effort in the styling on this thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You mentioned India, Tony. I just saw a headline today that they are passing electric vehicle incentives. So that could be that's a huge market, and with incentives, we know that could go. They could start going electric very quick.
Yeah.
Yes.
That
would be awesome. Yeah. Well, you got 2 countries with a lot of sun and wind and
people.
We know that at one point, not very long ago, China was looking at bringing on what was a new coal-powered utility, like one a month for 5 years they were planning on, and then they scaled back because solar was much more economic. Well, yeah, this could be the same thing. We talk about leapfrogging technologies, and yeah, I truly believe if you could bring a car like this to the masses in rural areas where some of these people haven't been farther away from their house than they can walk. Now they have a car that can go 105 miles round trip. I mean, imagine just what that opens up for those people. It could be a big deal.
People, a lot more will go green when it saves them green.
Yeah. And
money talks.
Money talks, and I have no way of tying that into the next story, so I'm just going to kick it over to Georgia, who is going to take this story out of this world.
Hey, well, so this is kind of cool. There is a vehicle that I think you like except you're not going to be able to drive it here. But if you go to Mars, you should be able to use it there, or maybe to the moon. So you just have to join up with the space program, and you'll be able to drive the JAXA hydrogen-powered Lunar Rover, created by Toyota for the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, which is what JAXA means. And 6 wheels capable of transporting 2 astronauts and all their stuff. And I don't know, I kind of feel like it has a level of saleability right here, right here on Earth. I don't think you should have to go into space to have it. But it's super cool,
big
off-road vehicle. Look at that.
Maybe the prepper community would be into it.
Yeah, sell it as an RV. Put some rubber tires on it.
Oh yeah, and what's super cool is that's going to be pressurized. So you don't have to ride in your bulky spacesuit or in that very uncomfortable sweater, because I'm assuming pressurized should also mean good AC and heating capabilities. Why not here? Why
so
not
there's
Earth?
an airlock to get in and out of it? Must be.
Probably, if you're going to have it pressurizing, we'll see.
Or you have to
We'll
get
see
in.
how
Bob's
they
about
get
to open the door.
pressurized.
Everybody put your helmet on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey,
And
so
I'm
that
like,
means
how did they?
you could take this through California wildfires then.
Yeah.
Oh, well, let's not. Let's
And
hopefully
the back
not.
of it there, is that fold out for tailgate parties? Is that the plan?
It's got solar power, so basically it's going to be the best tailgate party, because you'll have the solar power wings up, and you'll be able to pull out the grill, maybe run a giant screen TV. Maybe your buddy's gonna drop over with his buddies and have a little jam session. You'll be able to power their instruments. I think this is a vehicle that we need right here on Earth right now.
Yeah, I think that solar panel can be replaced with a high definition
Flat
television.
screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, but how are you gonna power it? That's why you gotta have a separate
Solar power.
TV screen.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
Solar panel
for.
on one side, television on the other.
There you go.
Party in the
It's got a
front,
big old dish already.
Yeah.
party in the back.
Yeah.
So what's the
No,
hydrogen
but
angle on
I
this?
love the idea.
I love the idea, but something of that size, how are you going to get that out of the Earth's atmosphere? I mean, that's massive.
And then Elon rocket.
Yes, on an Elon rocket.
Yeah.
It's still, yeah, but still, given the
might be a
size
far
compared to
shirt.
the person, that's, yeah, that'll make it to
I mean-
space right after the space elevator.
I do have confidence in Toyota making it rugged, because the Land Cruiser that they sell on Earth is a legendary machine, and you cannot kill those things. So if the same engineering people build this, it should be able to withstand other planetaries.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. For a long time, my stepfather has always been like, he doesn't do American cars. To him, it's like he wouldn't touch a Ford or anything else like that, or a Plymouth. He was a Toyota or Honda dude. So I was raised in an Orthodox religion, only Japanese cars.
Well, I think, if they use the moon as their test bed to work out any of the kinks, and then they can bring that to
Pretty
to
big
Earth.
though for Earth. I mean, the tires are almost as big as the person.
Yeah.
Well, but that's what they said
Well-
about the Hummer and the Suburban. I mean, by the time
Yeah.
this thing works out, that'll be normal.
Fine. But we're
This will
going
be
to have to wait
smaller.
for a while.
Mhm.
We're going to be waiting until 2030. Hate to
Just
say
in
it.
time for Canada to get rid of internal combustion engine vehicles. See, it all works out.
Just in time
California,
for
me.
COVID to be over.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. That's a terrible thing to say.
Well, I think that's it. Does anybody have one more thing?
Yeah, we're good.
Anyone?
We are right on schedule, people.
What do you know about that? Well, let's do some shout outs and get the hell out of here. So I'm going to start with the man who happens to be on the left side of my screen, Mr. Patrick Connor. Do you have any shout outs for this week?
Sure. So by the time you're watching this, it's probably October. And so for October, I wrote a scary blog post. You can check it out at carswithcords.net. It's about the 4 horsemen of the impending apocalypse of doom for the auto and oil industry. There you go. And I'm with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. You can find us at oeva.org. You can find my blog at carswithcords.net. Thanks.
Well, all right. Thank you, Patrick. And Casey?
A couple videos that I'm working on, and got a plea for everybody. I'm at 756 subscribers. I'd like to get to 1,000 really quickly. So if you could spread me around to your friends and get them to subscribe to youtube.com/Casey Green. That's KACEYGREEN, and it would be much appreciated. Thank you.
Does it help if I unsubscribe and resubscribe?
No, I need fresh. So stay subscribed and then get some fresh.
What if I do it twice?
If you have another account, like a work account, subscribe to it. Yeah, that would
It's kind of like voting twice. Is that what you're saying?
Don't vote twice.
Right.
Don't vote twice. Don't subscribe twice.
You can vote for Casey
As the
3
one account.
times. Any odd number is acceptable.
Okay, so the odd numbers. 1, 2, 5, 3, sir. Okay. And throwing it up north to our friend Mark. Mark, what's new in Waterloo?
Well, not much, but I do want to tell you, if you're watching this show and haven't already, please give us a thumbs up at this point and subscribe if you haven't. And as Casey mentioned, sign up your dog or cat. It works too.
And any proper Google account, I'm fine.
You can see the subscribe ones behind Georgia. They're wandering around her apartment right now.
Yeah, or there's a butt hanging off of my sofa.
Hey, I'm pretty sure we got half of our subscribers from people who fell asleep and their nose just hit the keyboard on the way down. Yes.
I reject that. We're a pretty damned exciting bunch.
Speaking of shout outs, Georgia, do any of your cats want to shout out to anyone or anything?
What are you looking at? They heard a mention of cats. It's like, and immediately I turned over and looked, and they're looking at us. All I'm gonna say is hit that like and subscribe, those like and subscribe buttons, and stay safe, especially here in NorCal. It's we have yet another fire, so the whole place is kind of covered in smoke. Oh, I'm kind of tired of reruns, so hopefully we're drawing to the tail end of this year. Let's keep our fingers crossed and things will get better, because I don't want to do this again.
Right. I'm refusing to set my clock back this fall because I don't want to give 2020 an extra hour.
All I'm saying is, I think we can all call this year a loss, and we get a whole free year for this. Actually, we get 5 free years, because if this hasn't been a decade, this whole year has been a decade. I don't care what anybody says. I'm owed the extra year.
Hey, if I write off this year, can I pull a Trump and not pay taxes? Oh, sorry. I had to go there. Sorry.
It'd be a good year to get rid of the daylight saving garbage.
Yeah. Well, speaking of going there, let's go to Boulder. Paul, do you have anything? What's your special this week?
I'm actually running low on inventory, so I'd like to plug that we buy used hybrids and EVs. So if you're anywhere near Colorado and you have a used hybrid or EV you need to unload, give us a call, because we are low on inventory. We've been selling crazy amounts of cars.
You might not drive all your cars anymore. You might be working from home. Get rid of the extra car. Give it to Paul.
Ooh,
sell it to
go.
Paul.
Sure. Yeah, but people keep buying, so I don't know what's going on.
So if you have a lightly used Coda or a $5,000 EV,
Please.
you just keep on driving.
Yeah.
Prius, Volt, good running Tesla.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Leafs.
Leafs.
Volts.
Yeah.
Highlander hybrids. Those are hot this time of year.
Especially the all-wheel drive.
Yeah. Make sure you check out boulderh.com and see the inventory that he does have left, and get it while you can, because it's going fast. How's that, Paul? Was that good?
Awesome.
All right. So I don't know where you got this episode. Maybe you stumbled upon it. If you want to make sure you never miss another show, subscribe to our show on YouTube. and find us on Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, TuneIn, iTunes. I heard a rumor that Amazon Music is now streaming podcasts. I'm not sure if we're signed up for that yet. I'm looking into it. I do want to thank each and every one of you on our panel for being on the show. Thank you to all of our listeners for taking some time out of your lives, spending some time with us. And as always, thank you to Michael Mandarin for the theme music. A shout out to myself for the Tesla Life theme music. I think it was awesome. Make sure and visit manthing.com and watch some of his amazing videos on YouTube. And that is all that we have for this week. Make sure and tune in or download us next week and find out what drives us.
Stay charged, stay safe.
Yep. See you all.